Shobanjo is one of Nigeria's finest marketing communications practitioners with a career spanning 50 years. He started off in broadcasting some 56 years ago. Shobanjo's pioneering role in marketing communications industry is unchallenged. With a chain of firsts. In 1990, he established the Quadrant Company, Nigeria's first PR consultancy, which, by the way, is where I cut my teeth, is what I would say. I was the chief operating officer of the Quadrant Company before setting up 83 Resources Limited. And so many other companies he has set up over the years, including All Seasons, Media Perspectives, Optimum Exposures, Halogen Security, and many others too numerous to mention. Over the last 2 decades, he has earned more than 50 national and international awards and recognitions for professional excellence and integrity, outstanding leadership, and remarkable contributions to both the marketing communications industry and national development. Notable amongst these are the advertising man of all time, most influential personality in advertising in Africa, and the Zig Prize in leadership, to mention a few. It is my personal pride to present to you my former boss, my mentor, my former chairman, whom, by the way, I still call chairman because he's my chairman for life. Most importantly, he's my father, Dr. Biodun Shobanjo.
Okay, so just managed to drag here. I promised myself that I had done enough of talking, and what I should be doing at this stage of my life to listen to people like you, because it's not just about the future, even the present belongs to people like you. So we have served our own time, and quite frankly, it is time to listen and soak everything in. So it's really nice to be here. These brand new offices with Tosi and her team doing an incredible job. I'm very proud of her, and she remains a member of our alumni, those who had served their apprenticeships with us and are doing very well, carrying the flag and espousing some of those values that we inculcated in them. So she said to me I should come and drop 5 nuggets that perhaps people may want to look at as secrets of successes. Now let's start from where you guys come in. We are talking of MSMEs actually. Now, how important is this particular group to the economy? A group that contributes about 48% to GDP of the country. I mean, that's almost about half. It's one that any government that is must take cognizance of and do everything possible to ensure that it survives. Now, is that the reality on ground? I'm not so sure. If anything, the odds are usually stacked against from what one has observed. A group that accounts for 96% of businesses in Nigeria, 96% of businesses in Nigeria. And it's not me, it's the ILO that said this in January of this year. Now, a group that offers employment to 84% of those in employment. 84%. Those are humongous numbers. And again, the statistics, as far as I can, that I gleaned not too long ago, says to me that total number of people in employment in Nigeria from about 24 to, let's say, extended to even 60 cannot be more than 50 million. Because the critical sector, that is 24 to about 45, 50, employs about 35 million people. 35 million. So when you extend that to 60, you are being generous. You say 50 million people are in employment. And this sector that we are talking about employs 86% of that number. So if we are a serious nation, particularly as we are grappling through all of the challenges that we have now, that should be the primary sector that government should focus attention on in terms of providing an enabling environment to ensure that this sector thrives and drives the economy. So I thought I should just at least paint the picture so you know that the sector to which you belong is very critical to our survival as a nation. Now, so, and I'm not a politician. I've never had any card of any political party as far as I can remember. But you ask yourselves, all of the key presidential candidates that have been going around and talking, which of them has really said anything about small and medium scale enterprises? Not one. Not one. So which says to me that this sector is, I think our leaders, just shows their mindset that they are not focusing their attention on this critical sector that can actually bail us out. And you guys know where you play. I mean, in terms of the various business interests that you represent. I think Tosin tried to paint a picture when she was talking about those who will be joining this session, both physically and online. So you represent various interest groups, various of the economy. What I usually would do is to situations like this to ask people, where do you belong? What do you do? I mean, in what area do you play? So I can have an understanding. And maybe I will still ask the question as we go on. Just to help myself, so that I can have an understanding of the people that's yeah. So I can have an understanding. So if you don't mind, please.
Small scale business which is growing. It's a fashion business. I sell adult wears which is imported from the United Kingdom. The business name is Oz. Elements, yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, sir. I'm also in the fashion industry, but fashion retail. But I produce mine here in Nigeria, and it's been tough.
Sir, I run a travel agency. My name is Anne Dankaro.
Good morning, sir. I'm Lolade. I run an online fashion store. It's for luxury clothing.
Good morning, sir. My name is Tosin, a hairstylist.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ire Imeka. I make adire, tie and dye. I also make sandals. My business name is Pattern by Ire.
Hi, good morning. My name is Oluwatobe. I work with Nairametrics.
Good morning, sir. My name is Olawale. I'm an agricultural manager and a part-time virtual assistant.
Good morning, sir. My name is Labake. I co-own a health tech company. We deal with pediatric nutrition.
Good morning, sir. My name is Helen. I run a social media management agency.
I think I know you. Oh my God. Good. So that's very good. I mean, yeah. Okay. So that's good to know. I have a daughter who I tried so much to invest in by sending her to school, and she's a very smart girl. So she said, okay, she was reading engineering. When she finished her master's program, so I said, so what next? She said, no, I want to go and work. I said, but you're too young. She was not quite 21 at the time. So I said, why don't you go on, just go one more step. I said, no, Daddy, I think I've had enough. And then at the time, because she was young, I could manipulate her, as it were. A couple of our friends and schoolmates were then you study medicine. So I said to her, wouldn't it be nice that when you all finish, you all call doctors? So your friends are called, so you also be called a doctor. I said, oh, that's true, That's true, I mean, very innocent mind, and anyway, ended up reading chemical engineering to doctorate level. But that's just part of the story. Then she's half British, half Nigerian. So she went to very good school. She went to Imperial, and I said, okay, now you've done this doctorate program. What else? She said, okay, I think I'll work for Shell in the UK. So she applied. Shell employed her, and she was working, and I was very happy that I'm going to have this daughter who will become great within the Shell. 2.5, 3 years down the line, one day she called me. She said, Dad, I'm quitting my job. I'm like, excuse me. She said, yes, I'm quitting. So I'm like, why? She said, look, I've given this guy so much within 3 years. They're saving a lot of money on this project that I've done. I think I want to go and work for myself. What did she do? Fashion retailing. From being a chemical engineer, so, I think the first great thing you've done to yourselves is to say, you know what? I want to start something on my own. Because that's a very major decision to make. And if we're going to use myself as an example, I don't know at which point you were in your various careers before you took the decision to say, okay, I want to go and do something. It may just be you started immediately after school. It may just be that you worked for somebody before, and then at some point in time, like this lady here said, let me go and be my own boss. But it's not about being your own boss. That's if that was the decision to be, I want to be my own boss. And so I got to move on and start something. Then you're making the greatest mistake of your life. Because that's not the reason successful entrepreneurs quit their jobs to start something. And, lest we forget, there are people that we hear of who are, you see, one of the things that I try to do is to share experiences. So I don't talk theory. I will tell you things that are practical so you can latch onto. So the people that we hear of, let me give you 2 examples. They started off as SMEs themselves. So there's this lady that is called the richest black woman in Africa. You all know her. All right? Mrs. Alakija. She started off like one of you there, just sewing dresses. All right? That was what she had a passion for that. And she was reputed to be, incidentally, her husband happens to be my friend, Modu Alakija. And she was designing clothes for ordinary people, and then, of course, the high and mighty. It was in that process that she met the late Mrs. Babangida and became her seamstress, as they were called in those days, not fashion designers, as we know them today. So one thing led to the other. She got an oil block. So suddenly, she's the wealthiest black woman in Africa. Perhaps maybe in the world, I don't know. But she started off as an SME. Somebody was playing in that sector. What about Mike Adinuga? So we have Globacom and everybody says, Mike, But people tend to forget that he also started off playing in the SME sector. He was importing and selling wines, having apprenticed with his mother, who was a major distributor for Nigerian breweries, Heineken, and all those, and that was where Mike was playing in K2. People forget that. Everybody remembers about Mike is Globacom, Equatorial Trust Bank, DEFCON, Matam, but he started as an SME. So you are on the right course, but also don't forget that as one Japanese writer once told us, he said, 90% of businesses that are started within the first 5 years would die. Would die. For various reasons. I don't know how old your businesses are. I'm only just saying to you that the odds, the challenges are so humongous. And also perhaps the inexperience of the founders of those businesses would also have contributed to the premature death of those businesses. And he also went on to say that of the 10% that survives, within the next 5 years again, 90% will die. So when you look at the attrition rates of the casualties opposite those that survive, all right, it can also be frightening. You say to yourself, do I really want to do this? But I tell you something. Those that survive have good stories to tell. When I started out on my own 43 years ago with a company called Insight Communications, as an SME myself, it was a small business, very small business, comparatively to the guys who were the big players at the time. All of them very foreign-owned, expatriate companies. I came out from one such. And I was clear in my mind that I would give them a fight. All right. So how do you succeed in doing that? Because it is not just that I have to share with you. You got to set your mission from day one. You just don't want to be a fashion designer, or you want to be some guy who plays in the beauty sector. Because what you'll find in the SME business is that the entry barriers are usually very low. That's the honest truth. In other words, anybody can go and play there. The skill requirement is not very high. All right? Knowledge, yes, okay. If you have some knowledge about what you want to do, that helps you. If you have some skills, that's also good. But what I'm saying is that you have thousands and thousands of people who have the same skills and knowledge as you have. So what are you going to do differently? Is the ability to do something differently that would ultimately define whether you're going to be successful or not. So in other words, I say that you must define your mission. When I set out, I was clear in my mind the kind of advertising company I wanted to establish. Thankfully, I had been trained. Thankfully, I had a bit of knowledge, okay? But I defined my mission. And what did I say? From day one, I said it had to do with the work that we do. The work, because I knew the environment. Okay, I knew the players, the critical players, and I knew where the flaws were. So you need to plug those holes. So in defining your mission, it must incorporate the ability to plug the holes. So I said that if we did great work and did so consistently, fame and fortune will follow. Now, fame means that we'll be popular. Fortune means that we'll have some money in our pockets. So you'll find that And of course, and I said, if we did great work, how can you do great work without having good people who can deliver? How can you do great work consistently if you do not have people who are passionate about what you want to do? So in one statement, I had a whole lot of things covered. From the very get-go, I defined that as a young 31-year-old boy at the time. So it has nothing to do with age. It has nothing to do, it's just about your ability to know where you are headed. You got to know who plays in the sector in which you are. And as I said, there are too many people who are playing in the sector in which you operate. Travel agency. If you walk out on road, I'm sure you'll find so many travel agencies there. But I can tell you, because it's a service that I use, that there are deficiencies in that system. So some guy who comes and please, you probably have heard of Femi Adefogwe. Yeah, okay, sure. At some point in time, you could almost swear by the name. He had an office here in Palomo, this building that not the open are UB as well. He had a little office there, way back then. I remember, as I said to you, I like to give practical examples. I remember one of my sons who was in school and he had difficulties, and I went to Femi. I said, Femi, you know what? I'd like Bimbola to work in your profession. Because Femi was doing very well at the time and it's one of my bros. I said, Uncle, you know what? He still must go to university. I wanted to short-circuit the process because the boy had difficulty, but later on he picked up, thankfully. But Femi said to me, Uncle, you have to ensure that he goes to university. He must get a college education. Because for me, the guy liked to meet people, he liked to travel, so I said, travel agency business will be. It goes beyond that. And that's the ability to make a difference that I'm talking about. So, as I did say earlier on, you must define your mission from day one. I was clear in my mind that I wanted to build a different type of advertising company where the end product, what we deliver, was something that clients will swear by. In terms of some of the things that 83 is talking about today, the ability to deliver on time and deliver extraordinary quality creative work. I promise you, it wasn't that I had the best of talents with me. No. I took a couple of young guys with me. And I said, you know what? You all are going to be stakeholders. Not all of them. A few of you are going to be stakeholders in this business. We'll give you shares from day one. And guess what? We also didn't have money. So it's not also about money. Our paid-up capital was 100,000 naira when we started. And I had shareholders who could only put in 5,000 naira at the time. So it's not usually going to be. Money will not be the deterrent. Now, I don't know about now. I'm telling you something that happened 43 years ago. Today, money will play a major role. I understand that. All right. The second thing that I found, so when we started the business 43 years ago, with just that advertising company, and we defined the way we needed to move, you have the leader, each of you, in the event that you employ 1 or 2 or 3 people, all right, the people who work for you or who work with you, let me say, I rather say who work with you, must believe in your leadership through the things that you do. Because if you do not set that, if you as the boss, owner, are in the habit of coming to work at 10 o'clock, when you tell your other guys, two other guys that resumption time here is 8 o'clock, I promise you those kids are not going to come to work at 8 o'clock. Because they know that you won't be there anyway until 10. So they will come in at 9:30 or 9 o'clock or whatever. In the period in which I led my team, our resumption time was 8 o'clock, but I got to work every day at 7 o'clock. Clockwork, I got there at 7 o'clock. And we would usually be there till late, and I would be one of the last to leave. Therefore, if there was work for us that needed for everybody to be there till 12 midnight, nobody better than I. Because they know that the boss would also be there with them. And we would sweat it out. So, 43 years down the line, we still have clients that we've worked for 35 years. Because they've come to believe in us. In spite of whatever it was that people did to take the business off our hands. Because those clients, now you have to understand that it's not the same clients, hands have changed. But because they find that even 43 years down the line, the mission statement that I wrote 43 years ago is not even the businesses that we started. Second point that I find is worked. And by the way, let nobody come out and begin to thumb his chest to say, look, I'm Mr. Perfect, I know it all. I'm only sharing with you some of the things that we did and that I found worked for us. So, I don't know if you read some other textbooks, you might find some other things that somebody else would say. But if all you're doing is sharing your own personal experiences, I can only share experiences that I found worked for us. When we started, there were 18 people in our business. All right. As we go on, I will tell you how many we are today. You have to be passionate. Second point, you have to be passionate about whatever it is that you're doing. It's not about, I'm looking for a stopgap something. Oh, I've been sacked from where I used to work. And so I have to just jump into something. You have to be extremely passionate about, if what you love doing is making people more beautiful, as the lady there said, then the totality of you must reflect that. If what you want to do is to have a travel agency, as she is doing, then you must love the travel industry. You must love interacting with people. People are going to come to you to say, you know what, I want a ticket. And you also must have integrity. Because one of the things that I find with a lot of travel agencies is that they do not protect the interests of their clients. Whereas I can go online and buy a ticket for purpose of argument, 2 million naira. All right? The travel agency would try and put his or her own markup and turn it into about 2.3 million or 2.2 million. And guess what? When you have a problem somewhere, and let's say for purpose of argument, you want to change your travel dates, and then you call the airline and the airline says, okay, all right, you want to change, you have to pay an additional 250,000 naira. Because I've been in that before. I was holding a first class ticket. I wanted to change the dates of my travel by 1 day. I was in New York and I said, look, can I get back to London quickly? Oh, Mr. Shobanjo, my wife and I. They said I needed to pay some ridiculous amount. It was working out about 2 million for both of us. I'm like, excuse me. So, long story short, I was not talking to British Airways directly. And they said, Mr. Shobanjo, but call your agency in Nigeria. Actually, we can give you his number because I told them the agency that I used. No, I said, but I have his number. So they said, no, it's your travel agency. There's no reason why you should pay anything additional. The airline was telling me this. And I'm calling my agency in Nigeria. My agency said, no, sir, you have to pay the 2 million. And British Airways told me, Mr. Shobanjo, you do not have to pay any additional. And to cut a long story short, we deferred moving the travel. I wasn't ready to pay 2 million for 1 day, whatever. And since then, and I'm telling you something that happened maybe 6 years ago, I have not bought a ticket from a travel agency. I buy it directly from the airline. So when I need to change my ticket, Mr. Shobanjo, you pay an extra $100. Okay, fine, that's fine. $100 and 2 million naira are two different. So I'm just saying that, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Okay. So there has to be some integrity about this. It's not about we want to make a kill in one go. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's the problem. Third point that I thought you might use as is that hard work never kills. You got to work your ass, because you see now you're working. There's no excuse. You're working for yourself anyway. It's your choice. It's your choice. You could have been working for some other person, but you decided to set something up. So you got to work your socks out. It pays. It really pays. You have to. There's no Saturday. In the days in which I used to work, I stopped working many years ago. There was nothing about Saturday or Sunday. Every day was work day. It was 7 days a week. And the people who worked with me understood that. And we didn't have working hours. There was nothing like working hours. Number 4 point is the thing about excellence and integrity. You have to be not just to your clients, even your staff, all the stakeholders. They should be able to read you like a book. There's no, she knows. I don't lock the office to my door. My drawers have no keys. So when I said, open that drawer. If you open the first drawer, you'll find, there's nothing to hide. And you would not have favorites. People who work with you. You may have your favorites. You may have your favorites, but it would have to be some kind of a secret, because you can't show it to the other people that, that's my favorite, whatever. That's my favorite client service person. That's my favorite. No, you won't show that to the staff. Again, let me answer that question. As a young man working for an American company in this country many years ago, well, in fact, I just started my career. And then I got this unusual pay rise. Very unusual. So, I was a young boy in my 20s, and I shared it with some of my colleagues. And they went and protested to the managing director. They went and said, but we just learned you gave Biodun X amount. So in days of pounds. So he called me and said, look, I hope you understand that your remuneration is personal to you. So if you wanted everybody to know how much you are paying, we would have pasted it on the notice board. So I don't know what you regard as public reward. I don't know.
Let me share with you. You were not
Yes.
there at the opening day.
Yeah.
But we were celebrating our believers.
Yes.
And honestly, I just felt like there was a particular staff. He's our longest serving staff. And he had just dedicated too much to the business. And we literally presented him with an amount of money, 1 million on the day. That's why when you said that, that's why I asked that question.
No. You can do that.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. I would do that. But it's not showing it, rubbing it in everybody's face that, that guy works here. 18 hours every day, and that's what every day. I mean, if it becomes a swan song, then there's a problem. And which actually goes to my next point, which is that you have to identify and build a team of leaders for succession. I'm here. The businesses are running wherever they are. We started with one company. One other thing I was going to tell you is that even as you're doing this at your early stages, let's say you are in your early stages, you must begin to think of the future. How do you diversify that business from, for example, even a travel agency business? All right? So it doesn't just become a ticketing service. You are doing tourism. You build a tourism arm. That becomes, so you begin to create multiple streams of income. Because that's very important. Because we did that. The 4th year after we started Insight, we started a company because we saw opportunity. What they now call the out-of-home business. If I came because a client was threatening that the service we were delivering in that area through third parties was not acceptable at the time. And one of them threatened and said, you know what, if you don't fix that, we're going to take our business from you. So rather than lose a lucrative business, I said to myself, what would it cost to start that particular arm of that, that particular area of business, which is the out-of-home business. And that's how we started. 4 years after we started Insight, we started that. 6 years after, we started Optimum, Quadrant. And went on and on. So you have to learn to build multiple streams of income. Today, as some of you may know, although we started off with 18 people in 1980 when we started, today our group has grown from just being an advertising company to being a PR, having a PR company. We have 2 media independents. We have all sorts of things. And then we went into security. As a group today, we employ over 20,000 people. So every month we have to pay 20,000 people. But don't lose sight of the fact that we started as an SME ourselves. 18 people. Today, 20-something thousand people have to be paid, whether we like it or not, every month and regularly. So that says to me that if you can create multiple streams of income, find the right people. Find the right people to drive those businesses. As indeed is the situation with our group today. I don't know the people who work in these businesses. I know the team leads. Because I attend board meetings and I sit down with those people. But and I know some of the very senior managers in some of our businesses. But honestly, that's what it is. And when they do well, they give you something and they call it dividend. So that also makes me a little bit comfortable, I think. So these are the critical things that I have observed in the 43-year journey that I have had, operating as an entrepreneur or as a team lead or whatever it is you want to call it. And we built, without being immodest, we built very successful brands. I'm sure that a lot of people will know of Insight, they will know of Optimum, they will know of Quadrant, they will know of Halogen. These are brands that we deliberately built over a period of time. And there are no money bags. We don't have any money bags in our business. There's nobody, because when I wanted to start, incidentally, and we're looking for this 100,000 there, which we didn't have, I was directed to go and talk to a politician who had a lot of money. And the man said to me, okay, so what would be the ROI on this business? And what would be, he started asking me a lot of questions. He was grilling me. And I said, sir, okay, look, I'll come back and give you the answers. And as I walked out of his door, somewhere in Victoria Land there, the man is late now. I told the guy with whom I went to see this man, I didn't know him from Adam. I said, I'm not coming back here. Because the man said to me, he said, look, you are telling me to put my money in your business. You know how much I would make if I spend that money importing rice. He told me so. So I'm like, so it's this rice thing that this man is comparing my dream with. You know? Maybe if you said something else. But he said, clearly, he said to me, you know how much they were selling a bag of rice in those days? Maybe like 50, maybe, how much? Not 50, maybe about 5 naira per bag in those days. Because those are the days in which you could buy a car for 3,500 naira, you know. So he said, you're telling me to put, I think we told him put 50,000 in the business. 50,000 naira. The man said, do you know? He said, do you know how many times I would have turned over that money and the amount of money I would have made, you know, just importing rice. You're telling me to put it in this, your service business, that you don't know where you're going to get returns. You don't know where you're going to do this. So I said, thank you very much, sir. So I'll come back with the answers. I never went back. Ladies and gentlemen, I think let's stop there. I've overspent my time, actually.
You have two burning questions. One online, two burning questions. Do you have any online? Should we take photos of the class? Any burning questions? No.
I think, I was going to say I made myself so clear. So
Exactly.
Thank you so much for all the knowledge that you've shared with us today. But I wanted to ask, at the time you started the business, how were you able to pay salaries when you didn't have funds? Like when your clients are owing you and you know that it's the end of the month, you need to pay salaries. How do you come up with funds to pay?
Very good question. So I told you, we were able to, working capital was 100,000. Okay. Most of the things that we had in the offices, we like air conditioners, like even tables and chairs. Nigeria used to be a good country, All of those things were gotten from Leventis on hire purchase. So we're paying tiny little sums for them every month. And we had a workforce of 18 people. Salaries were not that high in those days. So from even the 100,000 that we had, we were able to pay our salaries. And from day one, we were also lucky. From day one, we had one or two clients who had followed us from where we were coming from. So, and we were particularly lucky. We had a client who actually was because he knew me. And it's about trust. He believed in me. Expert, foreign company. They were paying us for work that we had as support. Because he believed so much. He would be my client. I was servicing the business in my previous world. So when I told him I was leaving, he said, whatever it is, we're going to follow you. So we were lucky in that regard. So we were able to be serviced. Well, of course, by month 6, the money had run out, even with all of that. And then I approached another person to invest in the business, and he put in 50,000 naira. Lots of money. So that also helped us to tie down. So that's how we managed. And in fact, at one point in time, we then approached a friend of mine who was also on our board at the time. He had a friend who ran an insurance company. Again, another foreign company. And we told him that we needed to raise cash. We were running out of cash. So he spoke to his MD friend at the insurance company. And the gentleman said, okay, how much do you guys need? We said we needed 100,000. So the man said, okay, how do you collateralize that? So we didn't have any collateral. But this friend of mine, who was also on our board, elderly friend of mine, but was my very good friend, he said, okay, I have a house in the village. I'll use it as my collateral. So he went and brought the papers to his house. We gave it to this insurance company, and they looked at it, and the man said, look, this house is in the village. We can't borrow you 100,000 on this house. Nice house, but it's in the village. So he said, the most you can get is 60,000. They gave us 60,000. We accepted the 60,000. And we agreed repayment plans, which we followed, which we executed. So that 60,000 also helped us. So, just looking for money from whichever source you could get it. I'm sharing my own personal experiences. I believe very strongly that if you keep your vision on the things that you know and understand and are passionate about, it's better for you to play within those kind of spheres. All right. All the businesses we have invested in, except the security company, are things that we understand. That's why we do not play in oil and gas. We've not gone into banking. We don't know those things. These are the experts in, but we would never, ever, ever go into areas, if you look well, even within the sphere in which you are passionate and you have understanding, you can always find areas to diversify. I hold that view very strongly. Because now, you imagine, if we went into something that we don't understand, how can we add value? And people are going to be drawing rings around us anyway because we don't have an understanding. Now, the issue of starting halogen was totally, how am I going to express that now? It was divine. Because we have no understanding in security. Now, today I understand security. But then, it was the circumstance of threat, the kind of threats that we're having today. I had been a victim of, I won't call it armed robbery attack, in my house, on my family, that necessitated, and at the time I had a security company, but not professional. I had a security company guarding my house when this attack was going to happen, that ended up in the exchange of gunfire between myself and these people, because I was licensed to carry a gun and I had a gun. And I said, that's typical me. A man does not go down without fighting. You got to go down fighting. So I took my gun and I engaged them, and there was a lot of shooting, and the police got involved, and we're shooting till about 7 o'clock in the morning. So the after effect of all of that, cut a long story short, was, and I was detained by the police, of course, because when the police came, I had shot some of their people. Because I didn't know they were policemen. They came in mufti. They didn't say they were policemen. But anyway, it was headline news in 1992, if some of you were around at the time. And so I said to myself, look, from whatever this source had come, we needed to improve our security. And we went to all the security companies in Lagos at the time. We told them what we wanted, gave them the brief. No, not one security company could give us 35 guards. They said the earliest we could get 35 guards was 6 months. So I said to myself, now that's where the vision comes in. I said to myself, if we wanted to start our own security company, how long would it take from start to finish? From getting the license, training the people, making sure that they are different. Now, the thing about difference. Making sure they are different from the security companies that were in existence at the time. And we did it was 3 months. So I chose the option of 3 months to 6 months. And now that 3 months meant that I had to go around a lot of countries in the world to find out, because we didn't understand it. Day one, I wanted partnership. Some people who would take on the ability to train our people so they become a different type of security company. All right? So now you have to understand, now that's the visioning thing that we're talking about. I had an idea, the kind of security. I went to the United States, I went all over Europe, it was when I went to South Africa that I found security companies, because our problems were similar. Because in all those other countries, they have electric gates, they have that. There's no light here, so I don't want to, don't tell me. So, and of course, the thing about the kind of robberies that happen in Nigeria were happening in South Africa, worse situation. So I opted for a South African company. And from day one, and I told them what I wanted. I said, look, I don't understand security, but you have to train my guys. And guess what? My link with the Nigerian police, who was at the time a commissioner of police, who eventually became an IG in this country, was the one that was guiding my steps, because I didn't understand the business. And he guided me, okay, we'll help you recruit the people, we'll help you train. So they did all of that for us. All right? And then, of course, we then became masters in the game ourselves. You don't want to know the people that we train today. I'm not going to say that. You'll be amazed at what we do at Halogen. You just need to get to their control room and see what's there. So, I think I've answered both questions. Yes. Thank you very much.